Italian Football Podcast.
Hello everybody and welcome to the Italian Football Podcast, the official podcast of Football Italia. I'm Carlo Garganese, joined as always by Nima Tavali. On today's show, we will review match day 3 of the Serie A. Juventus beaten Inter 4-3 in an epic derby d'Italia. So much to talk about there. Napoli, though, show that they are still the team to beat with an emphatic win at Fiorentina. Luka Modric turned 40 last week, but he showed that he is still a class above the rest by scoring the winner for Milan against Bologna. Atalanta get their season off to the mark by thrashing Lecce 4-1. Gianpiero Gasperini suffers his first defeat as Roma manager as they lose 1-0 at home to Torino. Lazio also lose 1-0 at Sassuolo. And we will preview match day 1 of the Champions League, which is spread over 3 days this week. We'll also have our usual Baggio, Premface and Serie ASS of the week. And we have an absolute corker of a Serie A this week to do with Serie A TV rights, as usual. If you want to support the Italian Football Podcast and receive all of our content we do throughout the week without any ads, including our free Monday review show, our weekly Q&A episode where we answer all the questions from our patrons, plus the Thursday midweek review show, plus interviews, post-match reaction, and much, much more, then go to patreon.com, become a subscriber for just $3.99 a month. You can watch all of our free episodes and shorter clips on YouTube, and you can become a patron on YouTube memberships. So just go to our YouTube channel on youtube.com/@itafootpod. You can also sign up to be a paid subscriber on Spotify and whichever platform that you consume us on, Spotify, Apple, iTunes, YouTube. We'd really appreciate if you give us a follow, subscribe to us, like us, give us a 5-star rating, do all of that because it really helps us to grow and do more content for you guys. And if you've not already, do follow us on all our social media channels, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and TikTok. Okay, do you want to buy tickets for a Serie A match but don't know how? Well, Live Football Tickets is the best place to find Serie A tickets. Tickets are often available for as little as £25 and sometimes for even less. Buying from livefootballtickets.com is totally secure and they even offer a 150% refund guarantee on ticket authenticity. So if you wanted to watch Juventus or Inter or Milan or Napoli, or if you want to join Nima at a Pisa versus Lecce relegation dogfight, then Live Football Tickets is for you. To buy tickets to any Serie A match, simply follow the link in the description of this episode, as that will be our referral. Okay, right, let's get into today's show. Okay, so Derby d'Italia. Nima already did a post-match straight after the game on Saturday evening. So we'll try and not go over what was already gone over there during that post-match. Just go onto our YouTube channel, or if you're a patron, go to patreon.com/@itafootpod, and you can check that out. It's about 15 minutes long, but we'll go into a little bit more depth, let's say, in today's show. So let's start off from the Juventus point of view first. Of course, if you missed it, the game finished 4-3. Absolutely crazy, epic match between the two rivals. I'll give my opinion first. I'm wearing my Juventus shirt. From Juventus point of view, obviously it's a massive win for Juventus to beat their rivals. The late turnaround will give Juventus big confidence. It will give them some belief that they can launch a Scudetto challenge. Whether or not they're good enough to win it is another matter, which I'll get to. But it'll give them big confidence. And I think very impressive the spirit at the end of the game, the belief when they went 3-2 down, not long left in the game to come back and still win that match, and also to open up a 6-point lead at this stage of the season over Inter is also excellent. It will give them confidence ahead for the season ahead. I think that there were positives individually. I think obviously Yildiz, as you said, I mean you called him a magical player. He is a magical player. 1 goal, 1 assist, and I think come the end of the season, he's probably going to be a contender for Serie A Player of the Season. Bremer got 2 assists as well. Lord Kelly scoring as well. And I think Thuram as well. We saw that he was decisive at the end. When Juventus needed to turn it around, he scored the equaliser. He won the ball in that winner. And so, you know, Thuram was fantastic. And of course, Adzic as well, coming on and introducing himself. It's been a long time coming. We've heard a lot about this guy, about what a big talent he was, you know, coming through 16 years old in Montenegro. And the last year has been difficult for him with injuries and not getting a chance and playing for the next gen team. And he finally introduces himself in such a big game, and to show that personality in injury time, to take that shot on, that's personality. So yeah, the hope will be for Juventus that he can push on now and become something of a player. So those are the big positives. Did you, from what you said, I mean, you said a lot. Is there any other positives that you want to add to what you said on Saturday, Nima? Before I move on to the other side.
No, I think I mean, I covered basically the game more how it looked for Juve and Inter in that game, and it was my post-match reaction to the game. I think I don't want to keep repeating, so please go and check that out on YouTube and Patreon, and also on our, if you just want to listen to the audio on iTunes or Spotify or whatever you use. I think the main positives for me in terms of Juve, where Juve are from this game, is that aside from the result, it's the fact that watching that, I felt that Juve were always in control psychologically. They never stressed, never were worried, never felt frantic, never felt panicked. Complete cool control. Igor Tudor has managed to impose already, I think, because this is a big game. It's the biggest game in Italian football, and it's the biggest grudge match in Italian football. And to be able to keep this Juve side, which doesn't have a lot of experience in terms of winning, and the way that they handled this game, the way that they knew when to suffer, how to suffer. They went down a goal, never panicked, never went frantic, but systematically executed their game plan. Okay, the goals were more chance and errors. We can talk about that when we get to Inter, because I think that is now a problem, and it's being discussed openly in Italian media about Sommer and so on. But what I take away from that is I feel that Igor Tudor has already been able to instill a Juventus identity with this squad at such a early time, and that they know they were happy to give Inter the possession, no problem at all. They knew where Inter's weaknesses were, and they ruthlessly exploited them. That to me is the kind of cinismo that Juventus historically have had. It's part of their DNA, that they're very cynical in the way that they approach games. They identify a weakness and they hammer it. Allegri, a brilliant example of that is when Allegri was there in his first tenure. Every time he played Inter, it was clearly a tactical idea to take as much long shots on Handanovic as possible. That was a weakness. And this is what, again, we saw that with Tudor as well. Inter, in the sense that Inter are weak and hollow centrally under Kivu, completely hollow. And he exposed that. It's not by chance that the goals came from down the middle. Yes, again, Sommer is a problem, but all the goals all come down the middle, except for the set piece, which is of course different. But it's suggested to me that this is a Juventus that are in a good place. They have had a fantastic start. They're comfortable in their skin. They're comfortable with what they're doing. They believe in what they're doing. And it's a Juve that is basically rebuilding something from scratch. And Tudor is the right man at the right place.
I think you're right in the sense that I think he's trying to go back more to basics. He's keeping things a little bit more simple, and he's trying to recognise the abilities, but also more so the limitations of the Juventus team in saying, okay, when we play against better teams, Inter are a better team, player for player, than Juventus. I don't think even Juventus fans would argue against that. He says to himself, well, we're going to recognise who we are, and we're going to try and win another way. And I think that's a maturity there, and I think that's something that maybe, like you said, Tudor has brought, and he's also brought. Certainly, there is a togetherness and a more the Juventus spirit and the Juventus identity, which he understands, having been a player, which he has brought. Having said that, though, I think Tudor, and this might be unpopular with some people, I think Tudor got away with one here, and Juventus got away with one, because while two things can be true at the same time. I agree with what you said. The game plan, the way that they scored the goals, that was through planning. But if you watch this game for the first 80 minutes, it was over the top. Juventus letting the ball. They were way too deep, and the two Çalhanoğlu goals were a result of Juventus being ridiculously deep. Players in their own 6-yard box virtually went on those goals, and that's why those Çalhanoğlu goals came, because they were way too deep. And it was, I mock Allegri ball during Juventus during that second spell at Juventus. This was much worse than Allegri ball for part of this game. They were way too deep, and yes, they showed great spirit at the end. But let's be honest, after Inter went 3-2, Tudor went all-out attack. He ripped up the game plan. The game plan had failed at that stage. Because they were losing. They were losing 3-2 because of this game plan, which was way over the top with the deep. It's only when they ripped it up, they went all-out attack. They brought on David and Openda, and they went for it, and they turned it around. And yes, that's credit to Tudor. He got the substitute. He made the changes correctly, and Juventus, the spirit and determination, hunger that he's instilled, which are probably lacking in Inter, which we'll come to, turned it around. I'm not taking away, but I think that the actual initial game plan was failing at that point. So I don't want to go over the top with this game. I thought I saw a Juventus team that looked very limited. That's not necessarily Tudor's fault. And I saw a Juventus team that was second best to Inter. And if I look at sort of I don't want to limit it just to stats, but Juventus had a 0.68 XG in this game. Somehow scored 4 goals, which is that's not going to happen consistently. Yes, you've got to look at the opposition. Not going to play Inter every game, and you'd think they'll be more ambitious and more attacking against other teams. But I think Juventus got away with it. I don't think they deserve to win this game, if I'm honest.
I don't know. I deserve to win this game. I don't think Juventus stole the game. For once, Juve non ha rubato una partita.
There we go.
They won because they killed the game more effectively. And that is part of the Juventus identity, the way that Juventus see themselves. If we want to talk about the negatives for Juve, I think we also saw today on Saturday, a very good argument why Juventus won't win the Scudetto. At least if we just go about the way that, in terms of what you need to do to win. I'm not saying that they can't do it. They absolutely still can do it. But the argument to be made against a Juventus title this season, I think we saw that as well. And I think it's okay to defend deep, but you also have to be able to do it, and you also have to be able to manage that. And I agree 100% with you that I think Juventus were a little bit too deep and missed positions. One thing Allegri teams usually does is that they're deep, but they don't concede shots outside the box because they know how to balance the team. That side of it, Juventus are a little bit off. But I was thing though.
They kept the ball really badly as well, Nima. Really badly. They kept the ball terribly. The passing.
Yeah.
Coop Miners, who was abysmal, by the way, and I'm almost close to writing him off now. Absolutely abysmal. His passing was terrible in particular, but not enough ball players on the team because they had too many defensive players.
Yeah.
Kalulu was terrible, but he's not a right wing back. McKennie was decent, but again, on the ball.
I think he was decent.
Players.
Yeah, but no, I think that's a qualitative issue as well, definitely. But I also think it was a tactical problem as well, and I think Tudor will definitely address that. So I think when I look at Juventus, if you want to talk about weaknesses, yes, I don't agree that they threw away the game plan. I think they basically had to go for it. They were 2-3, they were down a goal, they had been up. But when he brought the substitutions, that lit a fire under their bellies. And the team reacted well. And the team did well in the sense that they imposed themselves. But let's remember, and here's the last negative thing I want to say about from a Juve perspective. None of those goals were a result of anything Juventus created. The first one is a set piece, brilliant by Yildiz. We know that he's a fantastic player and he delivers. His dead ball ability is outstanding. But that's not something you create. That's a set piece. And the second and the winner, that's nothing they created. That's a fantastic shot by Ajic, a howler or a mistake, not a howler, a mistake by Sommer. That's more by chance. That is why I think if Juventus don't win a Scudetto this season is because of that. I lack a kind of clarity and ability to create goals for going forward for Juve. And I think that's connected to the midfield issue that I think you said. Yildiz is the only creator, if we're honest, if this Juve side. Koopmeiners has not been able to do that. And I think that is something that will cause.
And also, I would say conceding off corners was a huge problem for Juventus this season. If you look at the aerial stats, I don't have them to hand now. Have a look at the aerial stats in this game, and Inter absolutely dominated Juventus. I know Thuram did score the equaliser, to be fair, but like aerially, Inter won everything in this game. Now, okay, I know Inter are one of the best teams in the world aerially. And they scored, obviously, the Thuram goal, the Inter Thuram goal, Marcus Thuram, not Lilian Thuram, who was on our preview.
For some reason.
Yeah.
Up front.
So they need to improve that as well. But they won't play Inter. But that brings me on to the final thing I want to say is to see Marcus Thuram and Kefren Thuram score in this game. I can't. My dad said to me actually, when was the last time like two brothers scored in the same game for opposing teams? Certainly in a game of this magnitude. And I was just trying to think off the top of my head, and I couldn't think when that ever happened. I don't know. Did the AU brothers, the Boateng brothers, maybe ever score against each other, playing against each other? I don't know. But I mean, Lilian Thuram was at the game, and he must have been very proud. And I have to say that. I think I've said this before, the Thuram brothers are the best brothers in football. But it got me thinking, who are the best footballing brothers of all time? Now, I'm not saying the Thuram brothers are there yet, but if I was to, I put together a little top five. So my top five footballing brothers based on both brothers' ability. Okay, so not like one brother's brilliant and the other brother's shit. Yeah, not like twins where you got Arnold Schwarzenegger, and then Danny DeVito is the leftover sperm and has no ability. Like not that. I mean, two brothers that are both quality brothers, or both have really good ability. So my top five brothers of all time. In fifth place, I've got the Charlton brothers for England, of course. Bobby Charlton, one of the greatest, well, probably the greatest English player of all time, and Jack Charlton, less ability, but was still in that 1966 World Cup winning team. Fourth, I've got the Touré brothers, Yaya Touré and Kolo Touré. Third place, I've got Socrates, one of my favourite players ever, from the legendary Brazil 1982 team, and Rai, who was a part of the Brazil 1994 World Cup team and was a legendary player for PSG. Second, I've got the Laudrup brothers, Michael Laudrup and Brian Laudrup, two absolute legends, especially Michael Laudrup, Denmark's greatest ever player. And in first place, I've got the Baresi brothers, who, Franco Baresi, maybe Milan's greatest ever player, legend, and then Giuseppe Baresi, a symbol of Inter. But I do think, though, that if they continue the way that they're going, these Thuram brothers are gonna make that list.
I have the same list except for the Touré brothers, who I don't know how the hell they got onto that list. I don't think they belong there. I prefer Rafinha and Thiago Alcantara, Mazinho's sons. One plays for Spain, one plays for Brazil. Those two brothers are I think they are so underrated. both of them, their careers. Yes, Rafinha's career was ruined by injuries, but look, the ability those two had, unbelievable. So I actually have them above the Torre brothers. But other than that, I've got the same list as you. The Laudrup brothers in particular is great. And I agree with you on your assessment on the Thuram brothers, that if they continue this, then yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. That's becoming a dynasty, that family, a bit like the Maldini family. Okay, let's talk about this from the Inter point of view. I'll just have my say, and then I'll let you take it away. Well, actually, no. Let's do this. Actually, you know what? Let's split this into sections, right? First of all, Inter's defence. Inter have a problem in defence. The number of goals conceded at the end of last season. This season, the number of goals conceded already, 6 in their last 2 games, despite having very low XG. Udinese, I think, had an XG of like 0.28, non-penalty XG. He conceded 2 goals. Juventus, I said before, an age in defence, a lack of pace in defence, the transitions in particular through the middle and midfield, which the defence then can't cope with. It's not just the defence's fault that. It's Çalhanoğlu, who, despite scoring 2 great goals, I don't think can really be a holding midfielder anymore. And even in games where opposition have little possession, like Juventus had in this game, create little, like Juventus did in this game, and Inter on top, they still look like they could always concede. And I wonder whether opponents have found out Inter defensively. I know it's a different manager. I know it's Inzaghi Kivu's basically sticking with the 3-5-2 now. So, and the players still have their ways of positioning and defending. I wonder whether teams have found out Inter in that regard. I don't know what you think.
I think there is an element to that already under Inzaghi last season, but that was kind of also because of the unbelievable fatigue and many other things at Inter. This season, it's Kivu wants to play higher up. He has different ideas. It's a continuation of it's building on what Inzaghi did, and he wants to play higher up. He wants to press higher up. The only problem is he doesn't have players who can do that, and he doesn't know how to mitigate for that. And ever since Kivu took over, we've seen an Inter that are hollow in the middle of the pitch. They concede goals down the middle, and there is no protection for the defense. Do Inter have an aging defense? Yes. Do Inter have a goalkeeper that is past its best? Yes. There's lots of that, but it's also structural. And Christian Kivu doesn't seem to understand or lack the tools or the know-how to address that. And that's completely expected from someone who has 16 games in charge of senior level football. And he doesn't exactly have any assistants who can help him because they have even less experience, Kolarov and Palombo. So it's this is completely expected. I mean, if people talk about believe this, believe that. No, believe in what? In fairy tales, unicorns, and the tooth fairy? No, I'm not wired that way. This isn't, if you pull a Hail Mary, then you have to expect that there's a large risk and chance that ends up in the shithouse. That's where we are. We're in the shithouse. Inter in the shithouse through their own making. And regardless of what, I don't want to attack people because I think it's unfair, but regardless of their Italian, Marotta and Ausilio's little bitch boy in the Italian media going out and saying that, no, Inter had the chance to sign Max Allegri, but they decided not to, and so that's why Allegri went to Milan. And Inter wanted to go with a young coach. Well, if you know, you know. If you know, you know. That's all I'm going to say. And it's annoying because if you're going out saying that, you're essentially, that's not the mic drop moment you think it is. In fact, it just goes to show that this shit show is of your own making, and maybe that's deliberate. Maybe you want to get rid of someone at a higher level at Inter. I don't know. Maybe this is a part of an elaborate plan. Whatever it is, it's dumb. It's stupid. Play stupid games, win stupid prizes. And that's what Inter are doing. They're winning stupid prizes.
Let me ask you this question. Should Sommer be dropped after this?
Without a shadow of a doubt. Without a shadow of a doubt. He already showed last season very clear signs of decline. And when Joseph Martinez played, he did well. Now Kivu will drop him against Ajax. It's clear that he will do that, and it's obvious that he will, and he should do it. And it's he was always, Sommer was always a stopgap. When Onana was sold, it was clear that Jan Sommer was brought in as a stopgap. So this has been long in the making, and I think it's not going to be difficult for Inter to drop Sommer. The issue is not just
4 shots on goal in this game.
Well, it was a bad game for both goalkeepers. Inter had 4 shots on goal, scored 3. Juve had 4 shots on goal, scored all 4. I mean, it wasn't a good game for goalkeepers. It wasn't exactly.
The combined XG in this game was 1.5, and there was 7 goals, which is pretty mad.
But the problem is with Inter, if we talk about it like that, is not just I mean, all of these things are objectively true, but yes, Manuel Akanji, who's Premier League proven, by the way, I'm being told, which is apparently a different sport to the Serie A, is directly responsible for 2 goals. But he's Premier League proven, and he won a treble with Manchester City. So maybe it isn't. The issue isn't just aging defense and this and that. There is a structural problem at Inter, and it's been like this for a long time. It's been a long time coming. Now it's here, and Christian Kivu apparently does not have the tools or the know-how or the experience today to fix that. And that's where we are. In terms of, I think Acerbi actually had a decent game. I think Akanji had a horrible game. I think Bastoni was all right, except for the brain-dead free kick he conceded, which led to the equalizer. But the problem, I think, right now is in midfield. Barella looks old.
Yeah, you know what? I want to say this. How many years are we going to keep defending Barella? Oh, but he's just tired. Oh, he's just overplayed.
No, but he is tired. He is tired, but he's also poor. Poor.
He's been tired. He's been tired for 4 years now, and now I'm sort of questioning myself, because I've always been like, oh yeah, maybe it's true. Conte run him into the ground, but it's been 4 years now. So it's 4 years of this. Can we just say now that the guy's legs are gone, or they're not?
I don't know, but it could be that. It could be that, but it's not. The problem is that it could possibly be that he's been burnt out at a very early age, which is something, if you remember when we started this pod, we were talking about, both of us saying you're going to burn him out, and Conte, Inzaghi, the Italian national team, no one gave a shit. Maybe that's what they've done. They've burned him out. Maybe it's the fact that he's not, for whatever reason, he's not able to deliver at a higher level. But the problem is that his individual and technical ability and skill is still incredibly high.
Yeah, we saw that in the first minute when he did that wonderful volley that went just wide. But just overall games, he just doesn't dominate games. He looks like he's treading water. Sometimes
that's the thing. He's
gassed. He never lasts 90 minutes. He's like DiMarco. Uncle Sharma said on his pod. I was listening to his reaction to this game, and I agreed 100%. By the 60th minute, Barella's breathing heavily. He's exhausted, and you have to basically take him off. And it's like the guy's 28 years old. He's not 31, 32.
Yeah, but if you look at the sheer number of games and minutes he's had for the last 4 or 5 years, maybe you get your answer there, which is what we've discussed. We've talked about this in terms of mental and physical fatigue. But it's not just that. It's also if we talk about this game, Barella was dreadful. Again, that midfield is the problem. There's no that midfield with Mkhitaryan, Barella, and Çalhanoğlu, and Kivu wanting to play this more high intensity, high defensive press, high press line game. Doesn't work with those three. They can't play it like that. It leaves the back three exposed, and that's where I think the problem is overall. But when you look at the defense as a whole, I'm sorry, but the first goal, when you play that ball behind, forcing Akanji to run backwards, and Bremer plays that ball down the middle, knowing damn well that Inter's defenses are going to be there, that is a structural issue. That's on the coach. That's a tactical problem that you haven't addressed. Inter concede a lot on set pieces as well. because they did it under Inzaghi as well. It's a problem, and it's weird because they have tall players, they have aerially strong players, and they are very good going forward. But it's clear that this man-man marking system has been, opponents have found a weakness in how Inter defend set pieces, and that's something that they need to address.
I have
Is
one
Kiba
more
the
big
right man
question.
to do that? I'm not sure.
Yeah, sorry, Nima. I want to ask you one more big question about Inter. It's one that we haven't really discussed properly on this pod yet, and it's something that I am seeing a lot of Inter fans talking about, and it's something that when I went to the Milan versus Chelsea pre-season game, at the end of the game, with my Meta glasses on, I spoke to Daniele Massaro. I actually interviewed him with my Meta glasses on. I don't think he realised that I was interviewing him, and I've never put this video out because I didn't really want to put it out like with him not knowing that I was interviewing him.
Yeah,
but so
that's
I didn't
very
yeah.
That's not. Yeah, you don't do that.
Well, he might have known. I don't know. I would have asked anyway. If I wanted to put it out, I would have asked. Anyway, he told me, and I was like, who's going to win the Scudetto this season? And he was pretty blunt about Inter. He says, I think they've lost. They don't have the hunger. The players don't have the hunger anymore. That's what he said to me. And I do wonder that, because it does seem like maybe there's too many players in this Inter team. They've been together a long time. They've won the Scudetto twice. Do they have the hunger and desire needed in Serie A? We said it last week about how they raised their game in the Champions League, and we saw that obviously last season getting to the final. And I just think, how can you 3-2 up? How can you give that game away 3-2 up in that manner? When you've got such experience in your team, you think that's the one thing that this Inter team would be able to manage the game out and see the game out, and to give it up like that. And then I see some of the other things, like I see Marcus Thuram not even celebrating when he scores his goal. I see him laughing with his brother during the VAR check for the winner. Things like this, and I just think that's not the sign of a team that really want to win this game at all costs against their bitter rival. And it just adds to the growing feeling that this team, maybe they haven't got the motivation and they really want to win it. They want to run through walls to win. I just don't feel like there's that. I don't get that vibe from Inter in the Serie A anymore.
No, and it's. I think it's. I think this whole Thuram thing. I mean, I know, knowing Italian football as I do, I knew that was going to be a thing, because I know how there's certain things in Italian football you can't do, which is considered rude and disrespectful and a sign of unprofessionalism, and that is one of those things. And it's very, very typical to Italian football, this thing. And I saw Aldo Serena tweeting about it as well, and echoing that. It's leaving that aside, because I don't think that Thuram was laughing with his brother, because I think that it's been a little bit blown out of proportion. But I do think that the larger point is what we should discuss, and that is not just hunger, but the mental state of this Inter side. I think after Inzaghi left after losing 5-0 to PSG and being humiliated, as Inter were, the way that he left, the way that this was handled, all the way was a perfect storm brewing. It erupted with the PSG game. And the way that Inter handled this, and have handled subsequent issues since then, as Beppe Marotta, as the CEO, as the club president, has been one giant failure after another. He hasn't handled it. He sacrificed Çalhanoğlu when Lautaro lost his shit and said something. Well, we know it wasn't just Çalhanoğlu. They managed to patch things up. Çalhanoğlu's still in the squad. He looks happy. They managed to work it out. Now we know, Pavard is left on deadline day. Benatia comes and says that we wanted to sign him and he wanted to leave since April. You've got this thing with Thuram again, which I think is a little bit exaggerated, but it doesn't look very good. And you have a coach in the middle of this who doesn't have the experience and doesn't seem to have the respect of the players, very frankly put. I don't think he's in charge of that dressing room. I don't think he commands the respect of these players. When have these players done well at Inter? When they've had Spalletti, Conte, Inzaghi, someone who has experience, who wins their respect in different ways. Spalletti won their respect in his leadership style, which is a little bit eccentric. Conte is this militaristic drill sergeant, and Simone Inzaghi was more the kind of, win them over with, win their hearts and minds. Christian Kivu doesn't have the CV, doesn't have the football, has great ideas, as a young coach usually does at this level. But what else does he have? His communication is pathetic. The pre-game match, when he said that, it doesn't matter if we win and lose, because, essentially that's what he's saying. It doesn't matter if you lose this game, because, what only matters is the number of losses you have at the end of the season, which is insane. Because first of all, you don't say that going into a game against Juventus as an Inter manager. That's a sackable offense in and of its own. You don't even entertain the idea of that. But secondly, and more importantly, if you look at the number of losses teams have had when they win the Scudetto, it's 2, 3, or 4, maximum 4. Okay, Sarri had more. That was a special season. But the fact is, if we leave aside the COVID season, it's 2 to 4. You already have 2 losses. It's match day 3. This means you have no room for error. And it's a risk. It's a huge risk with an almost certain outcome. And that's why I'm saying that Inter are not in the title race. I didn't believe they were going to be. And I think they're definitely out now, because they're already 6 points behind after match day 2. I understand mathematically they're not out of the title race. That's not the point I'm making. And anyone who argues otherwise is a fucking idiot. And I say that with emphatic power, because I'm tired of idiots not understanding what I'm saying, even though I explain it in such a way that even a mentally impaired goat would understand. So what I'm talking about is something else. And that is that I don't believe in the way that Inter have been run, and that it's not just players on a pitch and having a manager. The manager matters. The club president matters. Creating an environment that wins matters. Inter don't have that. And that's why they're not going to win. And Christian Kivu is not to blame for that, because again, the situation in which he was hired was one of desperation, and he stepped up. I hope that his career isn't over when this is all said and done.
All right.
But my point is simply that I think Inter's weaknesses have been exposed ruthlessly. They had 86 million on the bench that they spent in the summer. Petar Sucic is being eased in. He had a fantastic debut. It was awful against Udinese. I think they want to protect him. I think that's the right decision to ease him in. Andy Diouf, remember him? Wasn't he supposed to be, over the international break, he was working hard and Mkhitaryan was his mentor and all that? He's on the bench. Luis Enrique, what happened there? You bring in Darmian instead when you're a goal up.
Well, no, that's damning on the club as a whole. 50 million spent on Luis Enrique and Andy Diouf, and they haven't played a minute in the last 2 games. So, which you've lost both of the games. So I think that is concerning from a strategic point of view, for sure.
Well,
anyway, Nima, we have to move on. Napoli, though, you said Inter are not in the Scudetto race. They're 6 points behind Napoli. I don't think it's a problem being 6 points behind Juventus, because I don't think the Juventus team is particularly great. But being 6 points behind Napoli, even at this early stage of the season, is a problem, because this Napoli team really do look like the real deal. This was an emphatic win, this game. Although Fiorentina did rally well in the last 10 minutes, and Conte got very angry about that. If you take away that last kind of 10 to 15 minutes, this was an absolute clinic from Napoli. They look like the team that's going to not only win the Scudetto, but win it comfortably based on this performance anyway. They absolutely dominated Fiorentina in every single way, every single department, physically, technically, mentally. They just steamrolled Fiorentina. I thought they were absolutely outstanding. And we're talking about Inter there. maybe strategically the signings haven't worked so far. That like Diouf and Luis Enrique. Well, look at Napoli. All three of their summer signings scored in this game. Kevin De Bruyne, the first from the penalty spot. Rasmus Hojlund, on his debut for the second goal, and then Bukema for the third goal as well on his first start. So yeah, I mean it's been perfect. It's been the perfect start. Apart from the Lukaku injury, things couldn't have been any more perfect for Napoli given the summer market. All the signings are starting really well. And brilliant, fantastic performance. Rasmus Hojlund, though, he's the story. He's the main story on this. Again, he scores on his debut. I thought he was really impressive. Brilliant link up with De Bruyne as well in this game. There was one moment where they linked up fantastically, and De Bruyne forced a brilliant save out of De Gea at 2-0. And I loved Antonio Conte at the end of the game mocking Manchester United, saying, we signed him because Manchester United seemed to bring us good luck, obviously referring to the Scott McTominay signing last year, with Scott McTominay being player of the season in Serie A, and then Rasmus Hojlund straight away comes in and makes it and has this performance. It looks terrible on Manchester United that Rasmus Hojlund, having flopped at United, comes in and immediately looks like a really impressive player. Actually, Andre Onana had his debut for Trabzonspor, faced 29 shots and had an absolute clinic, making save after save after save. Was man of the match against Fenerbahce. So, yeah, I think Conte's right. I think that right now Johnny Evans could probably move to Napoli, and Antonio Conte would turn him into prime Franco Baresi. The way that things are going.
There's a couple of things I wanted to say there. Onana leaving United and doing well. Benjamin Pavard scored. Mehdi Taremi came on as a substitute, won a penalty, had a fantastic assist, scored a brace. It's a sign, and it's a sign of a club that gets things wrong, gets major decisions wrong, and when equally. The same is true. The opposite is true. When a club is well structured with the right people in charge, they get everything right. Napoli is that right now. Antonio Conte, the change he's gone through. He was talking. I think it was after the game about. He said himself, a good coach is one that can make the best and make changes to get the best out of the players available to him, or something to that effect. Which is very funny, given that he was so rigid in the earlier part of his career, and he was so criticized and hammered for that. But now, this is, like I've said before, I think we're headed into the golden age of Antonio Conte's career, because when you have someone who is this, he has a clear identity, but he's also got this ability to a finger like this magical touch of being able to tweak things to get the best out of the players available to him. That's why Rasmus Hojlund, Scott McTominay, etc. are successes, because he knows what he wants, he brings them in, he has a system, he has an idea in place for them, and he puts them there. He gets them on board to execute his ideas on the pitch, and the rest you see on the pitch it looks outstanding. It was a brilliant display of power and a message to the rest of the league that this Napoli is not, they're not letting go of that title easily. You're going to have to fight them to the end to get that Scudetto out of their hands.
I think they're a cut above the rest. The only
they
way
really are. Structurally,
the only potential issue I can see is if playing in two competitions, it really does take it out of them, and we see Conte unable to manage that, which we have seen in his career. But from what I've seen of Conte, it seems like you just said, everything he's turning is touching to gold. He seems to be becoming a more complete coach, and you wouldn't be surprised if he works that out as well, and works out a way to play in 2-3 competitions and still have them put fire on both. Because right now they look great. De Bruyne put in a great performance. I thought he was great. Anguissa was brilliant. He won the penalty. He got the assist. He got an assist for the third goal as well. And this Napoli midfield is so special. It's so special. I said it last week. It's light years the best midfield in Serie A. Anguissa, Lobotka, De Bruyne, McTominay, and Conte just talking about how he's becoming a complete coach. There were question marks about how would you fit De Bruyne with McTominay in the same team. Nobody thought about the idea of fitting all four of those central midfielders in the same team. How the hell could you possibly make it work? And he has made it work in a kind of a 4-4-1-1. And this is what Conte said. He says, we've tried to find a solution. A good coach must make players coexist. Last year, the midfielders were crucial to the Scudetto. De Bruyne's arrival could have meant one of the three would be left out. But the role we're shaping for him is, I think, perfect. We tried to give opponents fewer reference points. Last year, we were pressed high too. You must be ready for situations like this, which also expose you to risk. That's why I draw them tactically. Spot on. I mean, he's managed to work them all together. It didn't quite work as well in the second game, but in this game, it worked brilliantly. And I'm really excited. We're going to talk about the Man City game. I'm really excited to see how they get on. But yeah, the depth in the Napoli team looks great as well. They've actually got 3 top left backs now as well. Spinazzola, I thought, was fantastic, and he still looks like a player to me. With Oliveira, who didn't have a good game actually, he got roasted by Dodo after he come on. But Oliveira, Spinazzola, Gutierrez still hasn't played yet. I mean, there's so much depth all over the team. That's just left back I'm talking about. They look great.
Yeah, that's the quote I was referring to. A good coach. That's what I mean about is able to the fact that Conte now is a coach that is able to create to adapt. He was people forget how much he was criticized for not having a plan B, for being too rigid. Well, now he's managed to change formation many times. He's able to interpret games really well. He's able to adapt to situations really well, which when he was forced to do that at Inter and Juve and elsewhere, he made some of his best work. Same with Chelsea, but he's managed to do it with ease now, and without much fuss, without having to be forced to do it, without his back against the wall. He does it now proactively as opposed to reactively, which is unique. And that's why I think that what he's doing at Napoli is truly remarkable. The idea to bring all these 4 into the fold and be able to work out a system where they work, and to rely on the fullbacks becoming wingbacks to cover for that. I mean, it's still calcio verticale. It's still his ideas, but it's just a new way of doing it, and it's so impressive. This was, again, as I said, it was an outstanding display of power. It was a way they just sent out this message to the rest of the league that we're the team to beat.
Just minutes after that.
They look ready too. Yeah, they look ready.
Just minutes after the Derby d'Italia, where everyone was going, "Oh, what an amazing game! 7 goals, two heavyweights punching it, giving one punch and then the other," and then they were just like, "No, here we are. We're just gonna no nonsense. We're just gonna smash Fiorentina." On the Fiorentina, just quickly on Fiorentina, they got battered, but they rallied at the end, and they Piccoli missed a big chance to make it 3-2 with 5 minutes to go, in which, again, Milinkovic-Savic made a great save. He had his debut because Meret got injured. I don't know what to say about this. They haven't had a good start to the season, of course, 2 points from the first 3 games. I'm ready to just let this one go and just accept, Napoli are a cut above the rest, and they just put in a dominant performance. The only one thing I want to say is Komutso. He's been built up as this, big talent and everything. I think in 2025, he's had a difficult 2025, Komutso. He's made a lot of mistakes, a lot of goals given away, really stupid, clumsy foul for the penalty at 0-0, which got the ball rolling, going through the back of Anguissa. He's too impulsive still for me. He's very young, but yeah, he's had a difficult year. And also the fact that Fiorentina accepted a bid from Saudi Arabia for him this summer, he turned down the bid, which I'm happy he did. But he's the only one which I'm just a little bit, he just needs to. Maybe they should keep him out of the team for a while, let him calm down, maybe play the Conference League games, and then bring him back in, because I think he's got great raw qualities, but he's having a difficult time at the moment. That's all I really wanted to say on Fiorentina. And Dodo was fantastic in the closing stages. He was destroying Oliveira. I think he will move to a bigger club next at the end of the season.
Oh, without a doubt, he will. And it's, I think, just to talk about Fiorentina, I think the Comuzzo point is really important. I think we have to allow him and young players, they have to be able to make these mistakes and learn from them. And that's how we know if we have a quality player there or just a talented player that never managed to fully express his potential. But I do think with you as well. I mean, yes, they were battered by Napoli. Napoli are the best team in the league, we can say without much doubt. It's been a bad start, but I think we should give Pioli a little bit of and this Fiorentina side a little bit of, cut them some slack and give them some time. It's early days. We know that they've took a risk by going down this Italian and somewhat young route. Let's give them some time. But if there are concerning signs there, yes, I think that's a very good point. And also, it's Pioli. We know how he plays. He man-marks and he likes to push up high, and that makes him that exposes him. They're not going to play teams of Napoli's quality week in, week out. No. I'd like to wait before I say it.
But that's also that's an important point on Pioli, because that's where I think Tudor maybe recognized the limitations of his Juventus team against a better team and said, right, we're not going to go blow for blow against you. We're going to be, do you know what I mean? And maybe Fiorentina, when they play against teams that are much better than them, like Napoli, maybe. But we know that's not Pioli. Pioli has kind of one way, and that's probably been his limitation in his career, is that he's never been prepared to kind of adapt his game against certain teams. But yeah, we'll see how they do. I'm not worried about Fiorentina. I think they'll be fine. But this was a bit of a this was a tough match for them. Milan beat Bologna in the Sunday evening game, and the story is all about Luka Modric. He was 40. He turned 40 last week, 40, and he puts in a performance like this. He scores the winner. Luka Modric was absolutely unreal in this game. He ran the show. The way he uses the ball and controls the play, we know that. We've seen that through his whole career. But what impressed me so much in this match and this season so far, he's been Milan's best player this season, was his pressing, his running, his energy. You know, even in the last, the closings towards the end of the game, he was the one, he was like a Duracell bunny. He was non-stop, and his little bursts over 5 yards, he's still quicker than anyone over 5 yards. That little burst just to break the press or just to get the team up the field and create the opening to make the pass that he makes. And he's a joy to watch. I mean, this is amazing. Amazing to have this player still playing at this level at 40 years old. And honestly, I think there's an argument to make. Obviously, it's only 3 games in the season. Let's see him do this for a few more matches. But I think there's an argument to say that Luka Modric, based on the way he's playing, the level he's playing for one of the Europe's, traditionally top clubs, playing in one of the Europe's top 5 leagues, and being the best player for his team as well. I think there's an argument to say that Luka Modric's level is higher than any 40-year-old there's ever been. I mean, there's been some great 40-year-olds. I mean, you can tell me what you think. There's been some great 40-year-olds. I mean, Zlatan won the Scudetto at 40. Maldini was still really good at 40. Xavier Zanetti was great for Inter at 40. Pepe, the Portuguese defender, I think he scored at 41. Giggs at United. I mean, Cristiano Ronaldo is still scoring for Portugal at 40, although of course he's playing in the Saudi league, so he's not playing in a particularly high level. But when I look at the level that Modric is playing at, I mean, he's his team's best player at 40. I mean,
look, I think for me, the most impressive thing I've seen from someone in that age in the recent years is what Zlatan did when he came back after destroying his knee in the MLS and then rehabbing in the MLS and then coming to Milan 7 seconds first. I mean, and then, returning to the Swedish national team, scoring in derbies and becoming decisive again. For me, that was, that is just then that's surreal. The level he's at. But I think that I think that's the greatest like 41-year-old we've seen. But if Luka Modric keeps this up and consistently continues to play like this with the ease that he does it at, because that's what I'm impressed with the most. It's the ease. He looks so light-footed and breezy. And now he's playing as a regista in front of the back, in front of the defense, which is so smart by Allegri. I think it is just wow. But I want to wait. But yeah, we should be asking the question: could he be that? Yes, he could. But it's so impressive to see him. He just looks so natural, like the years of start, it's the elegance.
It's passed with the outside of the foot
Yeah,
all the time. I mean, it's just iconic.
It's just, he is. I mean, I really think that, he's a Ballon d'Or winner. He's I think he's one of the greatest midfielders the game has ever seen. And I don't feel people bring him up in those discussions as much as they do other players.
The longevity is important when you're talking about the greatest players of all time. Players that have played on a world-class or top-class level for a long time. That's important because most players have a peak of 4 or 5 years where they're the best players we're talking about. But then you get the extraterrestrials, the ones that stand out from above the rest, who played at a level for like 10 years, a world-class level for 10 years or more. And then you've got the real extraterrestrials like the Paolo Maldinis, who were like world-class for pushing on 20 years, or Ronaldo, Messi, or I think we can add Modric. I mean, Modric, 15 years at least at an absolute elite level? I mean, it's special. You don't get many of these kind of players, and we're lucky. If there was any questions about have Milan bought a player that's too old, I mean, look at the guy. Look what he's doing.
I mean, if he continues playing like this, yeah. I mean, there's no doubt that they bought a fantastic player, and if he continues to play like this, like I said, just to go to your original question, if he's the best 40-year-old ever, I think yes. If he continues to play like this and he can lead Milan to titles and like Zlatan did and do it over 2-3 years, then I think we can talk about that. But if I'm not mistaken, Modric is retired from international football, hasn't he? Zlatan came back to the Swedish.
I'm not sure if he has. Has he retired? I think he
retired. I think after the Euros, didn't he? He said he was going to.
I think he's still playing.
Okay.
I think he's still playing.
I think he said he might be wrong. Because I remember after the Euros, I think he said that was his last ever with Croatia.
Last ever Euros, yeah, but
no, not last ever Euros. I think he said
he's still playing.
Okay,
he's still playing. I mean, he could play the World Cup at
that would be cool. If he does something at the World Cup as well next summer, that would be really, really cool.
Yeah. But I mean, I thought Milan were good in this game. I thought their midfield. I thought Rabiot had a good debut. Some good drives with the ball. I think he's
Milan were unlucky. They hit the bar. They hit the post so many times.
3 times.
And
the penalty decision was absolutely.
Look, we have to talk about that because the way that happens is that situation is entangled. So the referee doesn't give the penalty for the first foul, which is a stonewall penalty.
Yeah, and a red card. It's a dog zone.
Yeah, it is. So yeah. So he doesn't give it for that, and he gives it for the second infringement. The VAR looks at that and says that's not, that there's no contact in the second situation, and so it's not a penalty.
And then sends him to the monitor and only shows the second incident. But
that's the thing, because the VAR, that's the thing. They can't do that, because if he's seen the situation and he says he doesn't think that the foul warrants a penalty, then he can't really, because it doesn't fall under clear and obvious error. This is where I think that this protocol needs reviewing. It's a perfect example of why the VAR protocol needs reviewing, and they need to get rid of this clear and obvious error requirement. It just needs to be an error. It doesn't need to be a clear and obvious error. It needs to be a mistake. And if the referee has to be given the opportunity to look at the situation which he has seen. I mean, it can't just be mistaken identity. It can't just be see that, I saw something that wasn't. No, you have to, because the first situation is a stonewall penalty.
Oh, it's unbelievable.
The first one is a stonewall
and
penalty.
That's two games in a row that Milan have had shocking decisions. It hasn't cost them; they've won both games. But if it did, you'd be absolutely, and you can understand why Allegri ripped off his jacket. Brilliant. I love that. I've started to like Allegri again now. Now he's not. He's not Juventus. I've started to like him. I mean, that was. He's becoming bit of a cult hero now.
Listen, Mac, frantic, foaming at the mouth on the sidelines, taking his coat off and throwing it and getting sent off and yelling at the referee. Fai bravo. I mean, it's just.
I have to say, I thought Milan did well. I mean, they let Bologna have the possession. Bologna really disappointed me. They had no shots on target. I think they had 2 off target. Had a disallowed goal, but it was offside. Milan were always in control. This is when you were saying to Juventus about Juventus. This was a much, obviously they were playing against a weaker team than Juventus were, but this is the way you execute that kind of game plan.
Exactly.
Not too
exactly
deep, and you never look in trouble. You never I thought Milan were good because. And if you look at all 3 of Milan's games this season, if you break it down to stats, look at what Milan created, what they conceded, the XG for, the XG against in all 3 games, Milan's numbers have been good. And if they continue these numbers, obviously the first 2 games were against weak opposition, but they continue these numbers, they are going to keep on picking up points and they're going to be up there. That's what I bring it down to. So when I was critical of Allegri at Juventus, this wasn't the case. It wasn't the case. The XG was bad. They weren't creating enough. They were conceding too much. So far at Milan, there's only 3 games, but so far at Milan, it's looking quite good. It's looking good for Milan so far in that.
It is, but I do. If you want to talk about something negative, Santi Jimenez.
His confidence is really low at the moment. There's no doubt about that. It's low, isn't it? It's at rock bottom.
Yeah, but it is low. But he's not good. He's not playing well.
He's not playing well. But I do think that Milan didn't handle that very well. I think Igliatare admitting publicly that he wanted to sell him was a complete own goal, because you've now got a player there that knows he's not got the trust of his sporting director, and probably not Allegri either. So that's not good.
All I'm saying is when Leao comes back from this injury, which has also been handled very badly by Milan in their communication and all the rest of it, when Leao comes back in this team, if Milan continue to play like this, Milan are one to watch out for.
Well, I think Leao's going to become the number 9. I think.
Yeah, me too.
I said that. I predicted that at the start of the season after watching the Chelsea game. I think.
Yeah, I mean that's why I had him as my capocannoniere, because I thought he was going to play as a number 9. He's going to get lots of chances and he's going to have space to attack, which plays to his strengths. But I mean, now with the injury, we don't really know. But
Nkunku come on for his debut as well, only for 5 minutes, but he made an immediate impact with what should have won the penalty, and he had a few nice touches. So. You've got him there as well. Yeah, Milan are one to watch. The one negative, though, is Magnon. Another injury. He has to be, we're talking about greats of all time here, he has to be the most injury-prone goalkeeper there's ever been. I've never seen a goalkeeper get so many injuries and muscle injuries. Like, it's quite difficult for goalkeepers to get leg muscle injuries, generally. And he's injured again. It looks like it's his calf. We don't know right now as we're recording how long he's out for. 54 games he's missed and counting through injuries since joining Milan for club and country. That's a hell of a lot of games for a goalkeeper to miss 54. That's over a season worth of games, and he's been there for 4 years at Milan. A hell of a lot of games, and Terracciano comes in. That's not ideal. Milan don't want Magnon to be missing a lot of games, because if Terracciano is at number 1, it feels like it's going to be like the season they had. What's his name? Tataruzanu as the number 1 for a while. Do you remember when it was just like if you're a Milan fan, you're just like praying that no one ever shoots, basically.
I think again, like with I think I remember saying 1 or 2 years ago, we were talking about this, that maybe getting rid of Theo and Mignon could be a good thing if you do it at the right time, because there were warning signs in the sense that, is Mike Mignon worth that money when he's this injury prone? And I think that for a club for an Italian club, then no, he's not. and they should have cashed in on him. And now he's on if I'm not mistaken, he's on an expiring contract, isn't he?
Yeah, end of the season. Yeah.
And they're going to lose him for free.
Yeah.
Unless they pay him Chelsea can come and sign him for free. They were interested in him.
Well, they tried to sign him. They tried to sign him virtually for free anyway this summer.
Yeah, exactly.
Biggest insult offer ever. But
but that's not good by Milan, and so now Milan have to sign a goalkeeper. And I don't understand. I don't understand why Milan didn't go after. Like, for me, two things that I would not understand is a striker and why they didn't try to get Vanja Milinkovic-Savic. That would have been ideal for them.
Yeah, maybe. But let's move on from Milan. I think there's some good positive signs from Milan, especially if Modric. If Modric keeps playing the way he is, who knows? And playing once a week as well. Roma lose their first game under Gianpiero Gasperini. Very disappointing performance. Dybala and Sule played together. Dybala came off at half-time with a slight injury, but both during the first half with those two together and in the second half when Ferguson and Baldanzi came on, El Ainoui went off at half-time as well. Yeah, they only in injury time at the end of the game where they had a flurry of chances and they were pushing. Other than that, they never looked like
created nothing
or scoring. Yeah,
in the end,
there actually was reasonably high at the end, but all those chances came in injury time, like at the end. Very, very disappointment.
A couple of headers of the only thing they created really was a couple of headers of set pieces, Mancini, Hermoso, and then Sule with that volley. But other than that, towards the end, when they were throwing the kitchen sink, that's the only time they created any pressure. And it was very concerning in the sense that this is a Gasperini side. You kind of expect them to be able to create more, but they're not able to.
Well, Massara said before the game there has been some murmurings in the Italian media that Massara and Gasperini are a little bit of loggerheads over the transfer market. Gasperini wasn't happy that with the transfer market not getting enough attacking midfielders / outside inverted wingers, like Gasperini likes, didn't get enough of those in. He was at least one short. Obviously, they bought Bailey, but he got injured straight away, so he's out. But we'll see. We'll see on that. Massara did say before the game that it's impossible to complete a Gasperini Roma in one window. I think he's right. He's absolutely right.
Very right.
We have to be patient there. But what I would say is a little bit, again, bringing this back to Inter, like when you hire a manager, you have to give him the players that suit his style of football. And it feels like with Inter, they brought in a Christian Kivu who wants to play in a certain way, but probably doesn't have the players to play the way that he wants, certainly like with the high line and et cetera, players, midfielders that can run, blah, blah, blah. With Roma, with Gasperini, we know that he wants players that have got pace and intensity in the team, and he wants options off the bench. We know that he likes for his wing backs to run, and then sub them at 60 minutes. And the attacking midfielders, he likes to bring on players with 20, 30 minutes to go to give him that extra. And he probably doesn't have enough players either in the first team, certainly not in the depth of the team, to be able to do that. So I do feel like Gasperini can't quite do exactly what he wants yet with the players he's got available.
I think you're right. I think you're absolutely right. And I think that it's, and I think what Massara said, it takes a little bit of time to build to get more than one window to get what Gasperini wants, and especially given the financial restraints that Roma have with FFP and the amount of money they have to build, the pressure on them to raise revenue now as well. By the end of June next year, I think they're going to have to sell players like Kone and so on, whether they like it or not. I think they kept him with gambling towards trying to get to that fourth spot because there is an opening there. They're 3 points ahead of Inter. I think they're going to be fighting for Inter for that fourth spot. And so they're gambling there for sure. But it wasn't impressive going forward, at least for Atalanta, for Roma. And it's going to be, I think it's going to be like this. And I was a little bit disappointed with Dybala Sule together. I didn't think it would look good at all. I didn't like it at all. And I think now that maybe Dybala's injured and we give Sule a run of games so that this becomes his Roma more than Dybala's Roma. I think that's the way.
I've always thought that was an issue, playing the two together. To be honest, although
I don't think they work together.
Kind of false nine sort of they played. But yeah, Torino, though, I thought were really good. They've reacted well to that 5-0 against Inter. Simeone, really brilliant goal. Curler, after a great dummy on Cornet on the halfway line. And they had chances to make it 2-0. Sila saved them. But yeah, I think Torino are going to be fine. I thought the 5-0, people overreacted a bit to that. I actually think that Torino have got a decent team. I like their manager. And I think in attack, I think they've got a good attack. I think Simeone, this is his level. Ngonge, I think, is good. I think he didn't get enough chances at Napoli. Maybe that was too high a level for him, but I do like him. And Vlasic as well. I think the three of them are going to... They're the kind of team, Torino. Okay, forget the Inter game. I do think Torino are the kind of team that they could be a danger against the biggest teams. They could. They're one of those. You can't just turn up and beat this Torino team. They're gonna. I think they will take some points this season off other teams.
They will, but I thought it was funny that, if I'm not mistaken, last season Marco Baroni was unable to beat Roma at the Olimpico in a derby. I think they drew and lost, and then he comes with Torino, and he's able to finally take that scalp at the Olimpico against Roma. Was a funny one, but yeah, look, that goal by Simeone is just Cholito is absolutely gorgeous.
Yeah, it was. He was really good. Atalanta. So Atalanta are off the mark against Lecce. I don't know how much this is Atalanta and how much it was Lecce, probably a bit of both. But De Ketelaere, I thought, was outstanding. Really elegant. When he's playing like this, he's a really great player to watch, isn't he? Elegant, lovely left foot, sort of just effortless, like you said with Modric. He scored two goals. Kristovic got 2 assists. I was really happy to see Scalvini score. And I thought Zalewski was excellent too. And maybe Inter made a mistake selling him. He's actually been really good. So even though Atalanta had a difficult start to the season, he's been really good actually so far, Zalewski.
He's perfect in a system like this, in a 3-4-2-1 that plays in this manner, which is how he was brought in to sign. If Inzaghi had stayed, he would have been outstanding. But he was sold because Inter... because he was useless at Inter with playing a 3-5-2 like that. He's really, this is, I think we forgot to mention him because we both had Sucic and Yildiz as our breakthrough players of the season. I think we forget to mention Zalewski. I think this could be the season he truly also is. He's one of those.
If he keeps this up, I didn't think he could be as good as this. I thought he was good at Inter, but I wondered how much was that Zalewski and how much was that he's just playing for a good team. Especially because at Roma, he'd really kind of lost his way. But you see Zalewski playing like this. He's lively, he dribbles, he's a great crosser. Really fantastic crosser of the ball, like even set pieces and fantastic.
Free kicks, hit the crossbar. No, he was great. He was really, really great.
What I want to talk about, Nima, though, is, and we're going to have to zoom through now.
But I want to say one thing, because you criticize your rich teams for not scoring and creating. Have you seen the amount of chances they create? I know it's Lecce, but I think we have to. I think this is if this is a omen or foreshadowing of what's to come. Atalanta are definitely going to be in the top 4 race. I think it's still too soon to say anything definitive, but it was very impressive to see the ease with which they played and they dominated, and they look really, really solid defensively as well. Lecce's goal was a result of a fantastic individual brilliance more than anything systematic. They looked actually really solid defensively. I really liked Atalanta this week, and it's everything is starting to click into place. And they're playing PSG now, aren't they?
Yeah, we'll talk about that. We'll talk about that. But yeah, of course. Listen, if they can keep this up, how much is down to Lecce? Lecce look like a relegation team to me.
Well, they are going to get relegated.
No, but I mean, they look like a team that's going to get relegated.
I said before, 20th. Unfortunately,
they're
I don't know
how much.
20th.
Yeah, so I wouldn't get carried away on this, but this was a good performance from Atalanta. They can only beat who's in front of them. We'll see. We'll see how they do. How they do in the next Serie A games. The big question mark though is Lookman. This is not good at all. Before the game, there was talk that he could be back, but then Juric put that to bed pretty quickly in his pre-match press conference. I'll read out the quotes because they tell the whole story. A truly unpleasant and difficult situation. As a coach, I felt that we needed other things: spirit, humility, passion. We need to do better and also take responsibility. You need a sense of belonging. I have a very good relationship with Lookman, but I shouldn't have to beg him to play. It works the other way around. We are Atalanta and he represents the city. We need what Atalanta represents: hard work, humility. These are different values. That is really worrying. Listen, Atalanta should have sold. Marotta used to say at Juventus, when a player wants to be sold, there is no point keeping him against his will. You can try and be like, well, we are, keep the player. If the player is that hell-bent on leaving, you really are cutting off your nose to spite your face by keeping the player. Atalanta should have just sold him, because now this is an awful situation that they find themselves in with a player that clearly, if he is going to start playing for Atalanta, it's going to be reluctantly, and you have to wonder whether they can turn around this situation and reintegrate him. And yes, okay, they've won this game 4-1 against Lecce, but they're going to need Lookman. They're going to need him later in the season. And yeah, it's a horrible situation. It's going to affect Atalanta a lot, I think, going forward.
Yeah, it is, because they completely underestimated the manner, the where the player was mentally, where he was. He'd already done this before. They patched things up, and he was expecting to leave. And then you go that whole, no, we said you could leave only to a club outside of, that's what we meant. I mean, if you do that, then the player will lose his shit, and if you play hardball, then this is a situation you've created. And now he's virtually worthless to you, because you're not going to be able to cash in on him from anyone, because he's refusing to play for you. They did not handle this well at all. We've spoken about how well Atalanta usually run things. This is a huge mistake by them, and I said as much in the summer when I thought they were overplaying their hands. Now they have an unbelievably difficult situation. This is going to probably end up in the courts, and it could end up in a situation where Lookman leaves for free. And it's not impossible. It's not impossible that if this ends up in front of a court and they argue successfully from Lookman's side that basically that the contract has been frustrated and it should be ripped up. It's not impossible. It's absolutely not impossible.
I don't think he's got a legal case there, but it's whatever. It's they have to sell in January now. Just sell him. You can't have this. This can't continue anymore. Right, the rest of the fixtures: Cagliari 2, Parma 0. I actually thought Parma were really unlucky. They were the better team in this game. They missed so many chances. Cotroni especially. Caprile was magnificent for Cagliari in this game. He made some absolute stunning saves. So I actually thought, we've been digging in and laying into Parma. I actually thought they were really unlucky. But the bottom line is that where are the goals going to come for Parma this season, which is what I've said. And I still say that after all this game of missing chances. Pisa 0, Udinese 1. 7 points, third place for Udinese after the Inter win. They're going great. They're going fantastic. And Sassuolo 1, Lazio 0. A deserved Sassuolo win. Lazio very disappointing. But I have to say, the save by Muric. Did you see the save by Muric?
That's one of my Baggio of the week. Wow. It is on Zaccagni. Is one of the most insane saves I have ever seen.
Yeah, same. Me too. And soon after that, Federa comes off the bench and scores. Yeah, Lazio.
I have to say just one thing, just a couple of comments quickly. Pisa Udinese, my God, so many. Like it ends 1-0, but so many almost sitters missed by both teams. It was not a very nice game to watch. Cagliari Parma, Zion Suzuki is the worst goalkeeper to play in the Serie A the last 5-10 years. I'm sorry. I've seen enough of this guy over the last year to say that with confidence. When he can barely do the basics right of a goalkeeper. It's genuinely atrocious. And they're hyping him up to be some sort of huge goalkeeping talent. I really don't see it, and I haven't seen it. And it's been over a year now when I've watched this guy fumble things. I watched this dog eat grass for a year.
He's great with his feet. He's great with his feet, though.
Yeah, well, he's not very good at saving goals. And also in terms of Parma, you asked the question in our preview, who's going to score the goals for Parma? Well, it certainly isn't Patrick Cutrone, because he missed more chances than I've seen most strikers do in one game than most strikers do in a season. It was atrocious. Absolutely atrocious.
Especially that first one where the rebound from the Pellegrino shot, and he just I don't know how he missed that. Lazio, it feels like it's going to be a long season, frustrating, dead season for them.
Yeah.
2 defeats already in 3 games, and it's difficult to get motivated when you just had all the air taken out of you before the season even starts, which is frustrating. The other games to come: Verona, Cremonese, Como, Genoa. Just before we finish with Baggio that's on Monday. Before we finish with Baggio, Premface and Serie ASS of the week, just going to do a preview on the Champions League. So this week, Juventus, Borussia Dortmund on Tuesday, Ajax, Inter, and PSG, Atalanta on Wednesday, and then on Thursday we're going to start off by previewing this, and then we'll morph into the other games. Man City versus Napoli at the Etihad on Thursday at 2100 CET. Champions League match day 1. So this is the big game of the week. Really, really exciting game. I'm really, really looking forward to it.
Me too.
I'll go through the team news before and some of the probable 11s before we talk about the game. So first of all, City have a few players out. Armand Mamouche, Ryan Cherki are definitely out. Kovacic has got an Achilles injury. We'll see if he's back in time, but he definitely won't start. Napoli do have a few players out. They have Lukaku, who's not even in the Champions League squad, of course, and Rachmani has a thigh injury. He's out for another 2 weeks. Gutierrez is out as well. David Neres did come back in that game at the weekend, so he's available again. Marianucci and Mazzocchi are not in the Champions League squad either. As for probable 11s, let's do Napoli first. So it's going to be Milinkovic-Savic probably, because Meret picked up an injury. Then Di Lorenzo, Bukma, Buongiorno, and you would think that Oliveira will come back in for Spinazzola. So that will be the back 4. Then in midfield, we're probably going to be going with that 4-4-1-1 formation, which will be Politano on the right, and then the 4 centre midfielders all put into the same team by Antonio Conte, with Lobotka, Anguissa, De Bruyne, and McTominay playing more from the left. And then up front is it's going to be out of Lorenzo, Luka, and Hojlund, and that is a bit of a conundrum for Conte, because do you stick with Hojlund after he scored and played really well, or do you play Luka, the bigger guy who has struggled so far? Let's be honest, for Napoli in all 3 games, he wasn't good when he came on either the other day. So that's the question mark really. Other than that, I don't know if I see any other changes. To be honest, I mean, Buongiorno or Juan Jesus, I would think you'd play Buongiorno against the aerial threat of Haaland. Surely he will play, you would think. Bukema has to play. And then it's Oliveira or Spinazzola. I think you go for the slightly more defensive option, maybe, in Oliveira.
It's so interesting that we're talking about Napoli, and Neres has yet to start and show what he can do. And I expect him to have a really good season as well. So they do have some firepower in the bank, and for me, Lukaku is a huge question mark when he comes back, if he can play and how well he looks. And we know that Lukaku throughout his career needs 4 or 5 games to get his body going. So yeah, it's that's a big question mark. But yeah, it's interesting to see that Napoli have Neres to use and capitalize on just yet, and then Rahmani when he comes back from his injury and so on. It's a mouth.
I'll do the City probable 11. This is difficult to predict now on Monday morning, seeing as they've just played the Manchester derby. But Donnarumma in goal. Then we're probably looking at Kusanov, Ruben Diaz, Gvardiol, and O'Reilly in defence. Then in midfield, Rodri. Is Rodri back? It says, I'm looking at Calcio Napoli 24 here. They've got Rodri, Bernardo Silva, and Reinders, and then Foden, Doku, and Haaland up front, and they're the players that played in the Manchester derby.
It's a mouth-watering tie. because there's so many talking points. You got the Manchester connection, McTominay, Hojlund. You've got Kevin De Bruyne, of course, played for City for almost a decade.
Yeah. Rodri is playing. I don't know what I'm thinking. I had a brain fart there. He played in the Manchester derby. So, yeah.
And you have Donnarumma, who is from Naples. And he's, you just went to Manchester City and he pulled off a miraculous save in that game, a couple of miraculous saves. You have Antonio Conte, who was at Chelsea and went up against Cagliari. It's this, and now is doing wonderful things at Napoli. It's a really mouth-watering tie, and I think it's one of those ties. Again, I've said and I've maintained consistently that this is the season Conte wants to put all this nonsense about him not being able to play 3 times a week to rest. He wants to end this nonsense about him not being able to do it in Europe. Well, what better way to start off your Champions League campaign by delivering the goods against Manchester City and showing that you have a team that is on your side all the way, that you're on the same page as them and they're on the same page as you, and they will execute and follow your game plan to the letter. It really is mouthwatering and really exciting to see what happens.
You said about sending a message. We said about sending a message to the whole of Serie A that we are the team to beat. Well, this is a great opportunity for Napoli to send a message to, not necessarily to Europe, but to, like you said, Conte to send a message that, you know what, this Napoli team are not just a great team in Serie A, but we can have our say in Europe against, a giant like Manchester City. And honestly, having watched City this season, this isn't them. They've still got world-class players all over the team. Erling Haaland is absolutely on fire. And did you see him for Norway as well? I mean, the guy is just a monster right now. He's absolutely at the peak of his form, and they've got quality, some incredible players. But this isn't the same Man City team as the team that won the Champions League against Inter or the dominant. This isn't as a team,
Agreed.
collectively, as a well-oiled unit that move as one, that defend as one,
Agreed.
as attack as one, that everybody just knows exactly their movements, where to be, where to move, where to cover. Like, there isn't that blend and fluency. And so for that reason, okay, you're away from home. It's going to be very difficult. I don't think this is an unbeatable team, Man City team. And in fact, they've lost 2 of their first 4 Premier League games. And even against Man United, if it wasn't for Donnarumma, making that incredible save, who knows? United could have come back and maybe got something. So I think Napoli, it's going to be interesting to see where Napoli at, really is. It's going to be interesting to see whether, is this a Napoli team that are just too good for a weaker Serie A, or is this a Napoli team that actually in Europe can have their say against the best of the Premier League and the best. So that's why I'm really looking forward to it. It's going to be an eye opener to just how good this Napoli team are.
I don't know. Maybe I don't think it's that decisive. Maybe I misunderstood you, but I think it's a good way to see, because I have them reaching the semi-final. But I think it's a good measurement, at least from where I stand, that to see, okay, how well can they put up in terms of indications of where they're going to be this season. Nothing definitive, but a nice little indication of where they are, if that makes sense. I don't read too much into it, given that the Champions League format is this league stage format now. I think that the most important thing for Napoli is to finish in the top 8 and try to get to the round of 16 and not play that middle knockout stage and then see where they are.
The other question I want to ask you is, this is Kevin De Bruyne's return to Man City, just months after leaving. 10 years at Manchester City, 6 Premier Leagues, won 19 trophies, 119 assists in the Premier League, which is only Ryan Giggs has more, which is just insane. A genius, one of the best players of his generation. But is he the greatest Premier League player of all time? For me, he's definitely top 3. I have a player, though, as the number 1. Who is your number 1? Where
top
do you put the
Premier League player, best Premier League player
of all time? Since the Premier League was formed in 1992, since football was born in 1992. Didn't exist before then.
Exactly. It was hard to go past Ryan Giggs, man. Like the longevity and high quality and like you talk about we were talking about Modric, about the longevity and the level to play. I mean, look at what Ryan Giggs did. I mean, can you go? I mean, yes, were there players that had higher peaks? Yeah, Cristiano Ronaldo's season when he won the Ballon d'Or was ridiculous. But if I look at longevity and high quality, high level, consistently in many different positions, winning Champions Leagues as well, part of a treble. Ryan Giggs.
And how many wins? Yeah, it's a difficult one. I think if you're going for longevity, you might
not just longevity, but like I mean,
you maybe go Ryan Giggs, and then you have to add in the trophy hall and then blah blah blah. But I can't go, and maybe I'm a bit biased because Arsenal are my English team, but I can't go past Thierry Henry because that guy, the levels that he played at was no one reached his levels. He was unplayable. He was unstoppable. You know, there's very few players in history in any level, not obviously we're talking Premier League level, but where you say, right, that player was unstoppable for a period of time. You know, you've got Messi, you've got Maradona, you've got Pele, you know, these kind of players, Ronaldinho maybe for a couple of years, where they were just unstoppable. They were unplayable. Thierry Henry for a few years, 3 or 4 years, he was unplayable. Like, he was unstoppable.
Look, I think the argument against both Thierry Henry and Giggs is that for large parts of their peaks, or their careers rather, not peaks, their careers at Arsenal and United, the Premier League was not the best league in the world. The argument to be made for Kevin De Bruyne is that for his entire tenure, where he dominated the Premier League, the Premier League was the best league in the world. So I think it depends on your thing. But personally, and I am anything but a Man United fan, I despise Man United with a burning passion. I respect Sir Alex Ferguson and I respect Man United. I do not like them. That's all. So you cannot accuse me of being biased in favor of them. I look at this in terms of the quality that he played at. I remember him playing against Inter. I remember him playing against Milan. I remember him playing against Juve, who were some of the best teams in Europe at that time. Ryan Giggs was just, I mean, it was unbelievable. He was genuinely unbelievable. He did.
Yeah, he was a thorn. He was a thorn against Juventus, that's for sure.
You know, technically brilliant, 1v1, fantastic, vision, creativity, defensively in both phases, working for the team. He was just unbelievable. And he was it for such a long time as well. So
yeah. Okay. All right. Okay. You made your point. I think that's a really good point you make. Odds in this game. I'm not going to say who the bookmaker is, but City are hot favourites, 8-13, and Napoli are 4-1. I mean, fancy a bit of that, 4-1, and draw 3-1. I mean, it's tempting because I do think Napoli got a chance here. I do. Predictions.
I just want to say before we go, kind of connected to predictions, I agree with what you said about City. That's my analysis as well. This is not the same City team as a team in terms of when they won the treble. It really isn't. And I agree with you on that. I think they're a good side. I think they've started something new, but I don't see them. I don't rate them as highly as others do.
Prediction, Nima. What you got? I'm going Napoli win. I'm going Napoli win. I'm not the most positive person. I mean, I'd rather be a little bit, you know.
Me too. I like being. No, I. You know what? I think they do it. I think he does it.
I do. I think Napoli are going to win.
I think so too. I do. Yeah. We're going to look like stupid. We're going to look really stupid when City.
I don't think so. I don't see unless they get like come out the blocks and Haaland's on fire. Haaland, I think needs to stop Haaland. He's playing incredibly well right now. But yeah, I think Napoli can do it.
I think it wouldn't surprise me if Scott McTominay, Rasmus Hojlund score assisted by De Bruyne. So I'm going to go 2-1 Napoli.
Okay, I'll go along with that. Just quickly, another fixtures because we have to
just cut to us looking like absolute idiots when City steamroll Napoli 5-1.
Yeah, for sure. Juventus, Borussia Dortmund. I mean, Juventus need to get a win there. I'll never be 100% confident of Juventus in Europe. I wasn't last season either, but this Borussia Dortmund team are not particularly great either. I don't really see Juventus losing that game, but we'll hope they can get the win. Inter, Ajax are not a good team at all. I'm expecting Inter to win that. PSG, Atalanta, though, usually you would say PSG, but PSG have got a lot of players out. They've got their entire front line out. Dembele, Doué, Kvara got injured at the weekend as well. So you're still fancying PSG, but maybe Atalanta have...
There is an opening here.
There is more of an opening there than you would have thought.
Yeah,
I still expect PSG to win, but I'm saying it's not a foregone conclusion. That's
in Sweden when we have every weekend when we do the whole betting thing. You have one thing that every bookmaker has and says, risk for upset. This is the game that you mark as risk for upset. That Atalanta could do a madness here because it means that you expect PSG to win. They're the favorites, but there's a risk for an upset. I think that's an upset.
Yeah, but we have also to accept that Atalanta got some important players out. Is Ederson back? I'm not sure. Lookman's not going to play. Scamacca, is he back? They're all missing. Those are big losses as well away to PSG. So we have to acknowledge that. Baggio, Premface, and Serie ASS of the week. So Baggio, I think we've got two goalkeepers. I'm going to start off with Donnarumma. Donnarumma's save from Brian Mbeumo was absolutely insane. Insane. The time that he has to react on that, the power of the shot right into the corner, and the way that he turns it around the post, the wingspan. Again, I can only say I just have to mock again all these idiots that say, oh, but Donnarumma, he can't use his feet. Listen, how many goalkeepers in the world would have made that save? I think you can count on a...
It's an insane save.
You can count
it's
on
an
one
insane
hand.
save.
Ederson,
it's worth its weight in it's just as important as a goal. That's what people don't understand. When a goalkeeper saves, not just makes a good save, but he literally saves a goal. That's a goal. But because of his brilliance, that's not a goal. That is worth just as much as scoring a goal. And it was truly remarkable. I'm so happy that he's there. He's playing,
and he's made a great start because everybody was waiting. All the feet wanker goalkeepers, all of them were waiting for him to mess up. And he was good. He was good on crosses as well. Like all the corners that came in, he dealt with. And it's nice to see actual goalkeepers. Well, it would be nice to see goalkeepers actually judged on their ability to make saves and not on their ability to, like Suzuki of Parma, to be good with his feet but let everything in. So that's nice. And also, this comes on a week where a lot has been spoken about how long throws are coming back into fashion, which we could go all Brexit 1980s England and say, oh yeah, long throws, it shouldn't be puffable. But you know what? Part of me is actually really happy that long throws are back in football because I want to see these kind of things in football. I want to see diversity.
Somewhere Rory Delap and Tony Pulis are lighting up a cigar and said we were ahead of our time. I mean,
don't you like to see diversity in football? Don't you want to see different things? You don't.
Of course I do. I've never had any problems with stuff like that. I hate this purist bullshit.
You love a Allegri ball, so of course.
Yeah, no, but look, I hate this purist bullshit. Football's supposed to be played this way, and everything else is some sort of a. It's heresy. I hate that nonsense. I like the diversity in football. I think it's lovely.
And Michael Kayodi's been used as a long throw specialist for Brentford. It's like I love it. I love to see this, and it would be nice to see goalkeepers rated for making saves and not for using their feet. Just like I like to see a bit of long ball, a bit of I'm turning into what's his name, Sean Dyche. Now I'm going to be demanding. Oh, I won't go there. But Donnarumma and Muric as well, as we said, and Cholito Simeone.
That and also Cholito Simeone's goal. But Conan Indri for Lecce, go and watch that goal. That solo run and then that finish. Jesus Christ. You don't see that in football, unfortunately, too often anymore. Those kinds of individual performances. I know the goal didn't mean anything. It was they were 4-0 down, but it is stunning. It's absolutely stunning.
Yeah, absolutely. Premface of the week.
Oh, it's Joe Cole again. I think it was last week or the week before that when he was on TNT Sports and he said, when Foden is in top form, he's the best player in the country. Only one other player can produce that type of level of performance consistently the last 15 years, and that is Lionel Messi.
Yeah, well, he did score in the derby. We'll give him that. Yeah,
he's not Lionel Messi. Stop this.
No, he's not Lionel Messi. Okay, Serie ASS of the week. This is absolutely unbelievable. I can't believe this actually happened, and it did.
Again, let me add, this exact thing happened a year ago, so they've done it twice.
I didn't know about it. So basically, what happened was before the Serie A match day 3, Serie A announced 3 Serie A games on YouTube in multiple Asian markets.
Afghanistan, India, and Bangladesh.
Yeah,
and I think
there was a load of them. Basically, due to the inability of them to sell a TV deal in those territories, they just decided, well, let's put it on YouTube so that these people can watch the games. Then, I can't believe this, they showed the first half of Cagliari versus Parma, which was the first match of the weekend. Then, at half-time, they deleted the stream. They removed all games that were to come in Serie A of the weekend, and they deleted their post for 3 YouTube streams in
and why did they do that? Because they realized that it's 2025 and there's such a thing as VPN, and everyone in the world changed their VPNs to that country and started watching the games using the VPN, which is, how did you not know this before it happened? Like, how stupid, like what is wrong with you? And this is what they did last year as well. They did something similar last year as well, a year ago as well. I mean, it's just, I don't even have any words to describe the stupidity anymore. It feels like it should come.
You could not make it up. You couldn't.
It's unbelievably dumb and incompetent, and it's just, I don't know what to say.
No, they can't. I said they can't sell a life jacket on the Titanic. Well, this proves they can't even give away the life jackets for free. I mean, it's just unbelievable.
The thing, just to be clear, so people understand what we're criticizing, it's either you do this and you stick to it, or you don't do it at all because of VPNs. Like one of the two. You don't do it and then take it away at half time because you discovered that there's such a thing as a VPN.
Well, people can use VPNs anyway to watch it on Sky Calcio or on DAZN or on the few remaining TV stations that do actually still have TV rights for Serie A. They can do that anyway. So if they're going to do that, they're still going to do it without YouTube. So you have to make a decision. Are you going to allow your people your Serie A fans in Asian countries, in India, with 1.5 billion people, however many it is, to watch, or are you just going to just say, okay, because other people around the world are going to use VPNs, we're not going to allow them to watch Serie A? Or
if it's that important for you to monetize it, you can make 1 or 2 matches free per week in those countries where you don't have a TV rights holder, and then you don't worry about people using VPNs, and then you make the rest behind a paywall in those countries and you monetize on it. Like, this isn't difficult. This is not hard. Jesus. At least then you're doing something and you're helping to grow because look, we have a saying in Sweden or in Gothenburg, what you lose on the swings, you make back on the roundabouts. Use your fucking heads.
That's brilliant. I love Swedish sayings are the best.
Yeah,
they are the best. Nima's Swedish sayings.
It's not my Swedish sayings. They are Swedish sayings. It's what we say in Gothenburg. Det du förlorar på gungorna tar du igen på karusellerna. That's, everybody knows that. Like, that's what, because you understand that you make a little less here, but then you can make a little bit more down the line. Like, you need to understand this. This is not that difficult. This really isn't that difficult. And this reactive reaction of panicking at halftime, deleting all streams, removing the game when people are, I mean, it just makes you look like a fucking idiot again. Jesus.
Nima, Nima, you're a hater. You should be. You should be positive towards your league.
Yeah. You talk about the goalkeeping feet wankers. I've had enough of the positivity wankers. They can do one. Like, seriously. I've had enough of that.
Nima's on fire this morning.
Yeah.
On fire. Right, the final one. This came from the week before, but we didn't have the show. We didn't have this is brilliant as well. Talking about social media and marketing. Inter using a French flag to hype up a Kanji signing. Well, a French flag emoji on their social media post. Yeah.
He's Swiss. He's been Swiss for quite some time.
Yeah. Well, he's actually got no French at all. It's Swiss mother and Nigerian father, born in Switzerland. Yeah.
Don't know what to say. Oh, well. But he's Premier League proven. So I'm expecting great things now.
If in doubt, big black defender. If in doubt, just call them French.
Why not?
Why not?
Why not?
Yeah.
No, they did. But the funny thing is that it was up for many hours as well. Yeah. So nobody reacted to it, even though they were getting slashed and like
these social media editors in Italy, in Italian clubs. They're just so bad. They really are so bad. Right. Okay, let's leave it at that. So I hope you enjoyed that show. Nima on fire at the end. We'll be back.
You're not going to ask me about my shirt, what I'm wearing.
Oh, well, yeah. I mean, look, for me, I know because I love the shirt. That's a West Germany. Is it 88 or is it 90?
92.
86.
Euro 92.
Oh, Euro 92.
Euro 92. When West Germany had won, it's the first shirt that Germany did as unified Germany. And I got this as a gift. So this is a shirt I got when I was 11 years old. I still have it. It's a original Adidas from then. And I wanted to wear it because Lothar was supposed to be the big star of Euro 92, but of course he injured himself.
I love those West Germany kits around then, 88, 90, 1990, 92. I prefer the 88 and 90 ones to the 92 one though. The collar, I'm not a fan of the collar on this one, but
I like the collar on this one.
I love the flag on the there. That's beautiful.
Yeah, so beautiful. Cool, isn't it?
Yeah.
So I was looking at it and I was like, damn, I've still got it. And yeah, so it's from
I need to do another order. I need to do another order of retro shirts. I do.
I got this, like, this is from when I was 11 years old. I've had it for like 30 years.
And it still fits you.
This is 91. Yeah.
You have got into shape, Nima. Your 11-year-old kit.
Yeah, I'm wearing a shirt I used to wear when I was 11.
Yeah. You're either a big kid at 11 or you've got yourself.
Well, a bit of both.
Yeah, anyway, let's leave it at that. We've got Q&A coming up, and we have we'll have a reaction on Thursday to the Champions League games on Tuesday and Wednesday.
Yeah, we'll have an episode on Thursday. We're back to regular programming in the season. Yeah. Monday show, Q&A, and then Champions League midweek reaction part.
Yeah. Thank you, everybody, for listening. We'll see you next time. Ciao, ciao.